Hey, we're going to, hopefully everyone picked up their music. I hope you got your music because there's a lot of it missing around here. So I guess that's a good thing because you had it. And we're going to take these pieces one by one and just kind of walk through them. We'll sing a little bit of them. Have Brother Kevin, thank you Brother Kevin for being here. And Kevin's going to take a portion of this rehearsal in just a moment on the two pieces in particular that he arranged and has written, and so he'll step in just a moment to work with us on those two. So we're going to just walk straight through, pointing out mainly refreshing our memory on some points and some areas in these pieces of music that were trouble spots, and now that we have the videos on our YouTube channel, and if you haven't accessed those yet, in just a moment I'm going to ask Josh to share just a little bit about that, and hopefully it's as easy as going to our YouTube channel, clicking on the specific part that you sing, and pulling them up and listening to them, just singing through with it. I will tell you, when I sang some of the tenor, Brother David Vaughn happened to show up at the right moment the other day. He sang tenor on the two pieces that that Brother Kevin had arranged, and I sang most of the bass, or tried to. It gets pretty low for me, and you can't hardly hear me, but there's some mistakes in there vocally. When you can't make it out, always listen to the piano, because Brother Kevin was playing the part along with us, and so that's the key. Listen to the piano, and we try to have the soundtrack in the background as well. So that's some kind of intro there as to what we're trying to accomplish tonight. And again, hopefully this is going to be beneficial to us all. We won't do this every Wednesday night, but we will try to do this pretty often. I think it helps to keep us together, keep us focused for when we do come back together, and we're praying. I know we're all praying that that's going to be very soon, but we want to certainly be cautious because of the circumstances and the situation. So we're going to begin with The Stranger of Galilee. I'm sure you've already got your music out, and just talk through it for just a moment. Of course, this begins with Brother Donnie singing the solo, and this is a beautiful old song, and I heard it on the radio the other day on BBN, and I think probably if there's a tripping point in this piece, it would be at the top of page 8. If you would turn over to the top of page 8, and it's that key change right there, and it kind of sneaks up on us, Brother Kevin. So could you begin playing? Where would you?
Top of 8, just so they can hear that.
Okay, all right, at measure 76. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and you see it's kind of hard to hear. So here's what I suggest. On the YouTube instructional video for your part, just sing through it several times. And that's the good thing about those videos. You don't have me standing there saying, let's keep going, you know, keep it rolling. And we'll come back to it next week, or we'll come back to it later. You can work on that as many times as you want to, or as many times as you need to. So I encourage you to do that, and just back that up. You can stop the video and drag the little point back and play it again and again and again. And so that's the main piece or section of this piece that would be well, that we had trouble with the most.
And then on the video on that too, not to interrupt, but.
No, go ahead,
On the
by all
video
means.
also, if you hear the piano playing and no one's singing, then that's the solo part.
Yeah.
So don't sing there.
Good point, yeah. Like in the beginning, when we were
And the
doing
end.
Yeah. Yes, and at the end, on page 9 and 10, if you hear piano playing, that's solo. So, yeah, that's not us singing. So, okay. All right, so that's The Stranger of Galilee. And is there any need to, there's no need to try to sing any of this, I wouldn't think. I mean, it's just
No.
me and you, isn't it? So let's move on then to the garden medley. And we pull the tempo back a little bit on this in the garden medley. Give you just a second to, hopefully you just keep turning the page and you'll be right there. But one of the areas that we want to take a look at on this piece tonight is on page 5. You see right in the middle of the page at CDQ 5 measure 45, it goes to 6/8. And we pull the tempo back right here. And so I'm going to ask Brother Kevin if he would it's tenors only at the bottom of 5. So basses you don't sing there. You see there at measure 49 in parentheses above that first syllable, fa, it says optional tenors only, and we're going to take that option, okay? So basses, you'll come in at the middle of 6 is a good spot at measure 57. Okay, so I think it'd be good to pick it up at measure 37.
Okay.
Brother Kevin.
And I'll count it too.
Okay, yeah. So
The difference between the 3 and the 6.
top of 5, measure 37, and listen to the tempo change.
1, 2, 3, 4, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Must this cost my life? Not my will, but
3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
And oh, sacred head now wounded, with grief and shame weighed That's the tenor note that I can't find right now. 3, 4, and crescendo up to 3, 4. And then to the end on My Jesus, I Love You. So hope it didn't confuse you too much right there.
The biggest issues are the meter changes.
Yes, we can work out notes. It's just those tempos and going from that 3/4, and then it actually picks up on that 6/8. So, okay. Now again, listen to the videos on the YouTube channel. Those are accessible right now. It's just that we could not go to that YouTube channel to do the live feed. So, okay, now let's look at Before the Cross. And while you're turning, or you're probably already there if you like me, it's the very next one, obviously. Josh, how many folks we got logged on?
33.
33. So I know there's some couples out there that may be watching. I hope everybody got that change and is not confused. Although that's an addition to my name these days. Don Confused Duncan. So, but anyway, Before the Cross. Now, Josh, on the YouTube, Josh did a great job with the instructional video. So, and I thought about having him come around and say a word about that, but I don't know if there's any more that you could actually add to that, because
Where and how, and just where to connect on and where they are.
yeah, and it is on the YouTube channel, so it's right there underneath and the live streams. The next time we do this, the live stream will actually be on the YouTube channel.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
And it'll be the first little block.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
I guess that's not a technical term, but it's what it looks like to me, is a block. So
Little block.
a little block. There you go. So, all right. Now we should know this. Before the Cross, we did it last Easter, and I don't think there's any major issues that I recall. This should be one that we could put in the ready to sing file, probably. Is there any areas, Brother Kevin, that you think?
Just measure 46, where the bass does not sing.
Correct.
And they don't come back into the top of the next page.
Yes, and this is the one where I was not paying attention on the video basis, and I was singing along right there at the measure 46. Remember, it says no bass, and you'll notice on that video, I was watching it today, and I'm singing away, and Brother Kevin's over here, and he's going, no. But we corrected that at the end of the video. So just if you want to make a note right there and just have some fun and laugh at me when you get to that point basis on that particular video. You'll notice at the top of the next page, at measure 49, bases we come back in my days of joy. Okay? So that's just a note right there. All right? Any questions? Okay, good. All right. Reminds me of an old TV show that I never watched it, but it was called Romper Room.
I watched it.
Did you watch Romper Room?
I remember Romper Room.
Okay, and
I'm not much younger than you are.
and the lady on Romper Room would have a magnifying glass, and she'd hold it up and say, "I see you out there, Lisa. I see you out there."
One of my favorite things. I
No.
like Captain Kangaroo better.
Captain Kangaroo, yeah, I like Captain
He was
Kangaroo.
a lot better than
Yeah.
Romper Room.
Okay, now, the last words of Christ is the next piece, and I'm just going to yield to my brother Kevin right here, and he has some interesting diagrams for us tonight.
I don't know about interesting, but
Well, it's very, very
they'll
important.
be visual anyway.
Yes.
All right, for all of you that, you've always heard that the camera puts 10 pounds on you, I don't want to hear from you. Because if I'm as wide as this piano, I'm going to the house. What I wanted to talk to you about tonight, a lot of it that you have on the videos, you know, it's like Don said, you can sing it back and use those to rehearse as much as you need to and go back over parts to help you as much as you can. The trick is that, you know, that'll help you with the notes, but that won't help you with the finesse of the music, and that won't help you with the finer points, things like dynamic structure, which is what I want to talk to you about as far as these are concerned tonight. So I'm going to make you a little diagram, because I don't know how your brain works, but my brain works in numbers and sequences to where, you know, if I can visualize something, it makes it easier for me to understand. And so, you know, I'm just assuming that your brain works like mine does. If it doesn't, then you can go, man, that man is crazy. What is he thinking? But if it makes it easier for you, then I hope it helps. So the terms are, you know, how loud is loud? It's very relative. It's an extremely relative term. You know, the instrument here in front of you is actually, its real name is called a pianoforte, which is just the Italian words for soft and loud. And so, you know, that's nice. The reason it has this name is because it can play both those levels and everything in between. Instruments prior to that couldn't do it. And so it's called the pianoforte. Well, okay, so pianoforte means soft, loud. So what does that equate to? They're very relative terms. So what I wanted to give you was kind of like a graph. So if you think from 1 to 10, whisper being the very softest that you could go, as 10, going to be shouting. All right, so you want to go as soft as you can possibly sing here and still phonate to where you actually are still producing a sound, but it's the softest that you can do. Here would be the loudest that you can actually sing, a shout with not suffering the tone. You know, you don't ever want it to sound like you're screaming. But shouting would be as loud as you could possibly get. So what would be some of the things in between? We could think 2 would be kind of like an almost whisper. An almost whisper. Then 3, you know, could be some in the range of 3 and 4 would be like low talking. Some of us are low talkers. I've never been accused of that in my life. I'm usually the other way around. This would be kind of like 5 and 6 would be how we normally talk. 7 would be like a loud talker. That would be me, a loud talker. You know, that's what teachers are always for. Then here we're going to get to like almost, this is going to be like an almost yell. And then we have our shout. All right, so if you're going to start that would be number-wise, you're going to go as soft as you can possibly produce, then just a little louder, then like a low talking, just a conversational, you know, you're sitting across from someone at the table. And then here would be just normal conversation. Here would be a little bit louder, you know, for me, like the hard of hearing people, you got to start getting louder. This is when you're really trying to get your message across over here. And here is the loudest that you can possibly produce and still have a good tone. So, where does that equate to and all these other markings? Well, traditionally we use Italian markings, which this would be 3 P's. The more P's you have, the softer it's going to be. In this case, the more F's you have, that's our piano and forte, the more you have, the louder it's going to be. So this is going to be our shouting. So if you see that, then that's what you really want to go for, as much as you can do with the best tone that you can produce. Then these levels in between, about here would be 2 P's, about here, low talking, 1 P, that's soft but not as soft as what you've got over here. And M is, the Italian stands for the word mezzo, which means half. So this is half soft, this is soft, this is only half as soft. It's neighbor, half loud, that's right in here, right in the middle. Then we go loud, louder, loudest. All right, so those ranges. Now, how does that break down? Okay, if you go to your part and look at last words, we're going to look at our very first entrance with the tenors and the basses. Where does that start? Okay, it's marked 1F. So that would be, if I were going to do this and just you want to use this scale to try and kind of help you, I would put a 7 there. Okay, that would be about a 7. So I know that I would need to come in kind of like, I'm not over here, I'm not over over here. I'm not over here. I'm not here, but I'm here. I'm here with a voice that's loud enough to be heard. Father is where we come in on that. That's about a 7. Ladies, you would come in at the top of the next page again with that 7. So where do we go from that point? Does it get louder? Does it get softer? Well, it needs to grow. So if you're looking at measure, say, 55, we might start with the 7, but then it's going to grow 8, 9, up to 10. You see where the 3 F's are? That's the top range right here. That's going to go as loud as we can possibly get to make that volume change there. Top of the next page, page 6, that would be a 5. You see how it changes? So if the number scale works for you, and it does, I mean, that's how I equate things. Maybe that helps make it a little bit easier for you. It might make it noticeable. Just put a big 5 there that I should not be singing nearly as loud as I was before. Then as we move through that whole section, if you want to skip over, if we can look at the top of page 8. Top of page 8. We have the word Father, and so it starts. I'm hearing myself echo over there. You have 3, say, then the next would be 4, 5, 6, because it's going to get louder. I don't know if that piano is blocking you or not. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the next measure, 6, 5, 4, 3. So it's going to get, you're going to start here at about a 3. So it would be fa. You hear how it grows? Then you start there, the, and bring it back down to where you were at the beginning. So if you think of those as each number growing, every beat gets one number louder. That helps equate it to this scale. So you're going to start here, build to here, and then go right back down. So it gives you some kind of measurement to where you can work with those and practice that at home. I do have it as a handout, and we can put it online too. That'll have the scale on there so you can see it a little bit better, and it equates it to the Italian markings that are in the score. And that'll help to make a little bit more sense to you. So as we go through these things, when we get back together, we won't have to go through, okay, wait a minute, this should be loud, this should be soft. And so you've got all those markings. The next spot to look at is the weird place. So, now does this pick me up if I sit over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
Remember that as you go through it, the recording keeps going, but no one sings on page 10, 11, or 12. 10, 11, or 12. The solo sings on 10, and then the rest of it is just the soloist parts from 10, 11, and 12. And then we come back in at the top of 13. The top of page 13 is that tricky spot, because we've got to come in at this dynamic level at the top of that page as we go from my God, my God, my God is building this in this range down through here, and then we hit Y and we're suddenly right there. But we want to make sure that we're secure on that note. So you have, sopranos would have my God, my God. Now where is the Y? It's a tritone, and that interval is hard to hear. How many of you remember Bernstein's Maria from West Side Story? And suddenly that name will never be the same to me. There you go. That's that interval. So you think, Marie, and that will help you hear it. That's God, Y. Marie. You don't have but you have Marie. Altos, you have it easy. Yours stays the same. That's my God. My God, then why? Tenors. My God, and you go na 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 na. Why? God, why? Then bass, yours is na na, but going the other way. Na 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 na. And so sopranos, Maria. Altos, tenors, na na, and then bass, na na. And that's the chord.
They're asking for measured numbers.
Oh, I'm sorry. 142.
That was an orchestra person that's,
Oh, that was 142. Yeah. Sorry about that.
that's okay.
So 142, 143, and then Y. So sopranos, if you'd sing that with me, I can hear you at home. You know, Don said with the magnifying glass, we got the big ear too. All right, so here we go. My God, why? Altos, my God, why? Tenor, my God, why? Bass, my God, why? Na 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 na. It helps you. So the chords, sopranos, tenor. Right. Then the next thing is the same chord, it's just spread out differently between the different voices. Soprano, second soprano, same as alto, tenor, bass. But don't just try and pick it out of the air. Take it from the note where you were. All right, so you can always gauge your distance with the note that you were on. So if you were singing sopranos, that G flat, why, it's na na up, why, alto or second soprano and alto, why, tenor, that's where you were, that's where you are. Why? Again, they're all minor thirds. Every one of those intervals is exactly the same in every voice. It's a minor third. So, I hope that helps you try and find those. Sopranos, you've got Maria, bass and tenor. And if you were here, you would be saying, what? Or you'd be saying, oh, I understand that.
So they're there saying.
They're saying, yeah, I got it. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Josh is there to give us any questions that you have.
Yes.
Top of page 14, then, 100, this is measures 150 to 151. All right, so if you'll notice, I'm going to go back to my chart here. We're singing at a 10 as we've gotten through all of that. Why hast thou forsaken me? Asking that question. We're here at a 10. All right, then it drops immediately. There's a great big drop right across the bar when we start asking the question, why? So it goes to a mezzo piano. So if we're here, then the very next note is way down here. So you cut it in half or less. So really that's between 4 and a 5. So if you're here, then here. So Don, do me a favor.
Okay.
And just sing a note. How's that? A B flat? That work?
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
And
B
you
flat.
just say, what's the word?
Which one?
Me, and then we'll sing why over here with the difference in the volume. Okay? So sing that with me. Here we go. Me, why. Good. Do that again, and then we'll just go from one to the next without any pause in between. All right. So here we go. Just the same. We're just practicing on one pitch. Go. Me, why. Good. So you've got that big a drop. So you're using your full voice here, and then here, you're doing it in a more light tone, but it really takes more air to sing at this level than it does to sing at this one. It's much harder to sing soft than it is to sing loud. So you want to make sure that you drop that volume level. Then notice as you go to the bottom 153, 4, and 5, then we're back up to 7 in this neighborhood. All right, but then again it drops back down. So if you go through the score, and what I encourage you to do is, if this scale helps you, and if it makes sense to you, go through there and put those numbers in that equate to where these are across the top. When you see those dynamic markings, and put those numbers in, that helps you understand the dynamic structure. And those are all the notes that I have on this one.
Now, measure 53, it's
53?
153, excuse me, 153. It's the dynamic is mezzo piano, right?
Mezzo piano, yeah, for all
Okay.
parts.
Okay. Which would be,
Once you get through all the Y's. Yeah, so in the middle section, and then when you go back to the why hast thou forsaken, it goes here.
yeah.
So once you have just individual parts, it's in this range. And then when you get everybody back in, it's here.
One of the things, if I could make a note, one of the things that helped me and continues to help me is, first of all, determine whether I'm going to sing the bass line or the tenor line. I think I've settled on the tenor line on this particular piece, is to not be overwhelmed by all the other parts that are scattered out across that page, across 4 scores there, different scores, because a lot of times I'd be trying to time it initially. When we first started with this, I'd be trying to time it. Okay, I'm waiting for the soprano, I'm waiting for the alto, waiting for the tenor, and waiting for the... But what I did was count. I'd stayed on the tenor line, and I count. Because a lot of times I have a tendency of looking at an entire page, and it becomes a little overwhelming. But when I zero in on my part and stay with it and count, it simplifies it for me. And so I hope that might help as well.
Also, too, to point out that the CD that we made the tapes with the vocals with, that they'll be practicing with, those tempos are correct.
Yes, yes, they are.
Those are the correct tempos. We went and remastered it and got it to exactly to the right tempos. So when it speeds up and slows down in those spots, that's exactly the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Okay,
So we fixed that problem.
good, good.
So you want, were you there?
Yes, okay, yeah. Anybody have any questions out there? You can text Josh at that number that he gave.
It's on the screen.
Oh, do we have a question? Oh, the number is on the screen. Oh, yes, yes. You can call in now. The number is on the screen. Let's see.
We're not even asking for donations.
We have a in stock. We have tens of these pencils that you know. And I hope you do have your pencil and highlighter with you. So, all right. If not, one will be appointed to you. Okay. All right. Let's move on to Were You There, Brother Kevin?
The biggest issues on this is finding the starting pitch in those sections where the orchestra does not play. And so I'm going to try and help you find those just so you can find your starting note. Starting right at the very beginning, measure 1. You have this chord in front, sopranos, 1. Then altos, yours just comes in. If you hear, and what I encourage you to do here is not just look for your part and pray, Lord, let me find my note. Give me my note, Lord. Just let it fall to me. But listen to the other parts and let them help you. So if the soprano sings the chord, it's right there in the piano part. Is the note the soprano needs. Alto, yours is just a step down from where the soprano is. So if theirs is there, yours is were, there were. One step down. So sopranos, alto, yours is just a step down. And tenor, yours is the same one the soprano started with, so if you can hang on to that, if they get theirs, then you'll get yours. So where's the soprano note? So the tenor would come in on there it is. So if you hang on to the first note the sopranos give, what I would do is draw a circle around that soprano's first note and draw an arrow down to where your first note is. And so that'll tell you where yours starts. Now, basses, yours works the same way. If you'll circle the note that the sopranos, the altos sing in measure 7, that's the G, that's the same note that you come in on. So if they're singing, then bass, were you there? Alto, basses, yours is there. But it starts on the same one that the altos sing. And so if you listen to their part, tenors, if you listen to sopranos, basses, if you listen to altos, they give you their note at no extra charge. They will give it to you.
That's a bargain.
That's absolutely. We had a question?
Somebody just asked where exactly y'all were at that point.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I not say?
At the beginning of...
That's the beginning of were you there?
there?
Yeah, at the very beginning. I'm sorry. All right, then the next spot that you have is the top of page 3. Sopranos, you end on crucified my Lord. Octave higher. Were, Lord, were, Lord, were. Now, altos, yours is just a step higher than where the sopranos ended. Lord, which is the tonic of that chord. That's the root or the strongest note in that chord. You come in a step higher. Were, Lord, were, 1, 2, 1, 2. So they sing. Is your first note. Then tenors, you have to find the 7th of that chord. Were, were. Bass, yours is easy because the altos sing it for you right in front of you. So again, I would circle that alto part to help you find that one. Soprano, alto, tenor, were you there? Bass, were you there? There you go. So, sopranos, yours is an octave higher. Altos, yours is a step above where the sopranos started. Were tenors, you're a minor third down from the alto, or the 7th of the chord, if you can hear that. And bass, alto sings yours in front of it. Right. Then tenors, when you come in on the melody of that next section, starting at the bottom of page 3, you have the pickup into the top of page 4. I know that's high, and the reason I wrote it that way is because I wanted it to be very light and floated. I don't want you to sing it like your Caruso. It does not need to be operatic tenor there. It needs to be like boy soprano. I wish I could sing that anymore. I can't sing that high anymore. So don't think that you have to go up there with a whole lot of weight. It's not blood and guts. It's just like a light, ethereal kind of sound. So think more like a boy soprano, young child's voice, as opposed to an operatic tenor.
Well, and this applies not only with the previous piece of music, but on all.
I would give it a 3 there. Even though it's marked mezzo piano, which is right here, still you need to think lighter in the voice. So right in this range right here, it doesn't need to go any louder than that.
What measure is that?
That's top of page 4, measure 38. So tenors, you have the melody there, but we'll hear you. So you don't have, there's not a lot going on there. Don't feel like you have to carry a whole lot of weight up there in those high notes. All right, then altos, where's your entrance? So sopranos are singing. Then they sing the very note that you come in on, nailed into the tree. Ah, is where the sopranos are. Then alto, you come in on the same note the sopranos move to in 38, 39, 40. And then tenors, you start on the note that you ended on. Bass, you come in on the same note an octave lower. So if you want to circle the word tree that the tenors are singing in measure 40, you come in on that same note. They're singing it here, you sing it here. But it's the same note, just an octave lower. Okay, hope that helps. Now the other spot is measure 57. Sopranos, you have very similar to what you had before. Altos, you 2. Altos come in on 2. Tenors on 7. Bass. Then it goes to the minor. Sopranos, alto, tenor, bass, were you there? And that one doesn't go down as low as before.
And all that is without,
The organ plays.
the organ plays, okay.
The organ plays through
Good.
there.
Good.
All of those are, yeah, there's no piano accompaniment, the orchestra doesn't play, but the organ does play the choir parts there.
Good.
So you're not completely by yourself. All right, then the only other spot is the same similar place in 7. On page 7, this starts in measure 82. Sopranos. Alto, you start on the same note the soprano gives you. Tenor, you start on the note that the alto sings right in front of you. And basses, you don't sing.
We got that part.
Yeah, we got it. So that one's real easy. Everybody hands it off to you. So again, I would circle where your note is coming from and draw an arrow down to yours so you'll know to listen for that note. Sopranos, yours is an octave. You sing in 81. In the tomb. Then your next note. Were you there? Alto, that's your note. Tenor. Were you there? Alto. Right. Then everybody comes back in on a unison note. We all sing the same thing there. And that's the tricky spots. That's the tricky spots. Be careful of the top of page 9 is my only other advice. We're singing along, and this is a dynamic issue. So you look at measure 98, you're singing along at this range. We're singing between 7 and 8. Then you suddenly see subito piano, which means suddenly. It's just a fancy word that means suddenly. From here, you immediately go to there. So it's a huge drop. So you're singing loud, 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 silence almost. It's that drastic. The big change occurs at the top of page 9 in measure 99. You see where it says subito, S-U-B-I-T-O, and then the P. So measure 99 is suddenly soft. Don't let that sneak up on you. And then it builds and builds, and so you have, so you're singing, sometimes I feel like shouting, glory, glory, building, building, and we just get more glorious as it goes up. So again, that would be I'm looking at the soprano part. Sometimes I feel like shouting, glory, glory, building glory, and take it up. You can even write it in. So you're going to drop down to 4, glory, 5, 6, 7, 8, and think of it as, you're climbing that dynamic scale. So, hope that helps. That's all the notes on that.
All right, if you have any questions, don't forget.
Here's my email.
Yeah, you can email Kevin.
Email.
Or, again, send Josh a text. So,
That's
apologize if we didn't have everybody on the same page there with us on the front end of that piece. I thought we had announced it, but I think a lot of things these days that are not really there. I see things.
I get ahead of myself too. I think everybody's on the same page and
Yeah.
thinking what I'm thinking.
Well, it's like I tell Teresa, you're supposed to know what I'm thinking.
That's right. Read my mind.
Yeah. I love you.
And then Resurrection Hymn Medley.
Yes.
Have you decided whether the congregation will sing along with us or not?
You know, I think it would be good to add the congregation in with this hymn medley. Of course, that doesn't give us a vacation from singing it and learning it and singing it as it's supposed to be sung here, but the parts and the dynamics and everything. So it's, I think probably the last couple of pages are the most challenging out of this piece. Kevin, you correct me if I'm wrong, but also let me. I'm just reminded of this as we were singing through the different parts, and which a lot of it is at times the melodic line for a lot of the parts. But I would, just a warning on tenor and bass, guys, I'd get confused and I might be reading the second verse when I was supposed to be reading the first verse, because I'd look at the note and then I'd try to find the words as well, and so again, listen to the piano, because we're not doing any repeats, and we've emphasized that on the YouTube video. No repeats on this. It's first stanzas all the way through, and we take the second ending every time. So
And all of the tenor notes are the middle pitch when it splits into 3 parts.
yes.
The tenors are using the middle pitch.
And an example would be where you
Page 19.
page 19 tenors. The middle note is what we're giving you to sing there. So
instead of it being Lord, King of Kings,
Lord of Lords, He still lives, or He's alive, excuse me. I can't read. He's alive. So and the chord is beautiful when it all matches up there. So that is. I think that was the only thing. Just again, apply the scale, dynamic scale here that Kevin has drawn out to all these pieces of music. Obviously, any piece of music. So that's a good way. I've never seen it explained like that.
Well, if you think of it, you can draw a circle even and think of it like a volume knob on a stereo, which is exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just turning up or turning down the volume, and it's just you're doing it from here rather than from here. But that's what it equates to.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so this, Anything else in this particular piece, Resurrection Hymn Medley?
No,
That you
no
can think of?
repeats. We'd be there
Yeah.
all night.
Yeah, it would be very long if we did all the repeats. But, I mean, not that that's a bad thing, but by the time we get through singing for an hour, the other pieces, and then we try to add on more verses, we don't want to do that. So I think the point will be well made by then. So this week, go to the YouTube channel and pull up the videos and work on these pieces, and try to spend some quality time. Look, we're this. Ain't none of us ever been here before, and so I wanted to try to do something that will pull us together, keep us focused on the music ministry, because it's not going to be like this forever, and we will be able to come back together. And when we do, we have worked too hard on this music, and it is challenging. It's challenging music, but we've come too far. The last rehearsal that we had together, I was extremely encouraged, and because at that point I knew that had we been able to keep our schedule, we would have done it. We would have had it. It would have come together. I could see it. I could feel it. I could hear it. And so we're not going to let that slide. I believe that this is the music that we're supposed to be doing right now, and when we do come back together, we'll work out a time frame when we get that freedom to work together again, and we'll calendar this musical presentation, and we will present this at some point in the future. And I don't want to even project a date at this point, but we will continue to work on it. And so, in the interim, let's take some time each week and set it aside and work on those your specific part on the YouTube videos. Now, there will be some new music coming that if we're still in quarantine or we can't come back together just yet, there's some other music that we're going to be adding, and we'll do that by just letting you listen to it and getting the music to you so that you can see it. And there's some great pieces of music out there that have come out this spring, and pretty soon Christmas music will be out. So we'll be overlapping and preparing some Christmas music this summer. So or at least getting it all together. So great things ahead of us. So be not discouraged. God has overcome. And it's just going to be a great hallelujah time when we do get back together. And that first Sunday that we are able to come back for a full gathering. I don't know what that's going to look like, or if we'll be able to do that. If they'll let us gradually move into that, I don't know how it's going to happen. But when we do all get back together, choir, listen. We might have a couple of rehearsals that week, just work on a few sugar sticks that we've had in the file, and we're going to blow the roof off. And so just going to be a great hallelujah time. So look forward to that. All right. Any questions? Good. Oh, no, Josh is okay.
We got a couple things.
Okay.
One, couple people are missing Kevin's jokes. And they also said that he finished his drink and if he needs another one.
Yes.
They also said somebody asked if they could smell the spaghetti that they were cooking.
Ah.
I wondered what that was.
Yeah. So
Well, we do, and we do want feedback. You know, let us know if this is helpful.
Yes.
Because, you know, we've never been on the YouTube before.
Yeah, and it could be that this is a one and done. Well, no, I don't think that will happen because we like I said at the beginning, we probably won't do this every week because that would be rather redundant. But now, if there are, as you work on this over the next couple of weeks, and we do have music police that will be checking to make sure that you are working on this music. No, I'm just kidding. You know, we don't have that. But if you have any questions, if you're having problems, situations, circumstances with particular areas, sections of music, you know, shoot me an email, and we'll try to help. We'll try to do whatever we can because. You know, music is an important part of all of our lives, and it encourages us, and it strengthens us, and it pleases the Lord, and that's our desire, is to please Him. So let's stay focused. Let's keep things rolling. Let's, you know, the last thing we want to do is just lay this to the side, and then when we come back together, it's like, wow, it's like we ain't never seen it before. So that's what we're trying to avoid, so that we can keep this fresh as we continue to work on it each and every week. And so hopefully more than once a week you'll be able to pull aside and kind of, just like, for instance, this week, take Stranger of Galilee and the last words of Christ, and maybe just a section of the last words of Christ, and Stranger of Galilee. This is just an example. And spend extra time on those two pieces, while at the same time continue to go through all of the pieces, and try to continue to work on it. Is that a good approach, Kevin?
Yeah. To set yourself a goal or set yourself a schedule that I could work on these. You know, I can devote so much time per day. Even if you could do it, that would be the most consistent.
Yes.
The most consistent, if you could do 30 minutes a day and just do one song, that 30 minutes, and just work it multiple times during that. Mm-hmm. And remember, you don't always want to just go from the beginning to the end. That really only teaches you the front and the very last notes. And then all that stuff in the middle gets real muddled. So stop in the places where you have trouble and rewind the video and go back and work those places, and then put it back into context. Instead of, you don't always have to start from measure one and finish in measure, you know, last words 270 something. So that defeats the purpose. Mm-hmm. So work on the sections that you feel that you need the most to work on, that you have trouble with, and then put those back into the context, the fabric of the whole piece. Mm-hmm. So, you know, sew where you need to fill in the holes, and darn those holes, and then, you know, then you got the whole piece of fabric to put it back together, to use a bad metaphor. But, you know, 30 minutes a day, one piece each day, and then maybe say on Friday I'm going to sing all of them, or Friday I'm going to sing the first 2 or 3, and then, you know, set a goal for yourself for the week. So that's always fun, just to set a personal goal.
Yeah. Especially
in these days where, you know, we need stuff to do.
Yes, and music is a great way to do stuff.
I'll work on some new jokes and share those next time. And and as far as the orchestra is concerned, guys, just keep practicing. That's the best thing that we can do, is that, you know, spend the time with your horn and your instrument, and work on spots. And we'll make that available.
Yeah, can we get this on the YouTube, like a shot of this? How can we do that?
I've got it on the flash drive.
The web page.
We can just put it on the web page.
Okay, all right, put it on the web page. Okay, good. So, coming soon to our...
And it's copywritten.
Yeah, copyright. Yep.
And your wife has requested some ice cream.
I think that's They're missing the point of the phone in.
Yeah, yeah. I can't, which piece of music was
That is
that?
funny. That is funny.
Anyway.